This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Adam. I'm still here. They keep bringing me back. I don't know why.
Well, you're not sick of us yet, so clearly we haven't done enough damage.
No, you're not sick of me. That's how this works.
All right, Adam, why don't you start about your channel before we talk about GAMESTER81?
Right, so I'm a retro gaming YouTuber. You can see some of my stuff right there. I've done lots of long videos, like Talking Forever on my birthday, live streams, lots of stuff about the history of consoles, showing a lot of obscure consoles, which will probably be very relevant to what we're talking. Like, yeah, look at that, the new one, a console you've never heard of unless you follow someone like me. Yeah, it's a weird one, which possibly is getting a new game, or at least a re-release of a game, which is strange. But anyway, yeah, I talk about a lot of bizarre stuff, and I am OG. I have been around forever. That's pretty much it.
And if you're not subscribed to Adam Koralik, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You need these obscure facts in your life brought to you at least once or twice a week.
Yeah, don't you need to know that Bedazzled, the DVD, was enhanced on a new one? Like, if you didn't have that information, like, how do you get through your day, dude?
Like, I have probably been watching Adam as long as Adam has been 2012. So, like, what, almost as long as you've been on YouTube? Like 4 years off?
Yeah, I joined in 2009.
Pretty much when I went to college, I was like, what are all these obscure consoles? And I found Adam's channel.
Yeah, that'll happen. I get that a lot.
I think
who wants a Casio Loopy? What the hell is that?
Was that when you did the Dreamcast? It was like the scuba one, right? I can't think what it's called.
Oh, the Divers 2000.
The Divers 2000.
Interesting interpretation. The scuba.
Divers, scuba. It makes sense.
No, it does. It's just funny. I would never have connected it that way.
Yeah, I try to make it relevant. All right. If you haven't watched Adam's Nuon video and you don't know what a Nuon is, you obviously weren't looking for a DVD player when this came out and also wanted a gaming console. So go watch his video.
Or you bought a PlayStation 2 or an Xbox, I guess. But if you didn't do that, then yeah, where were you on the?
You might have been the guy that bought the Xbox, then found out you needed a remote and said F this and took it back to the store.
And then bought a console that really only has remotes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're talking about GAMESTER81 for Tuber Tuesday, and this is a guy that's been on YouTube quite a long time, so I'll let Adam talk about that real quick, and then we'll roll into some facts.
Right, so yeah, GAMESTER81, John, like, it's funny, actually, he was one of my original inspirations for doing YouTube stuff, like, back in that time, because he joined in, like, 2008, there were not a whole lot of dudes, like, making a ton of YouTube videos yet, and I think, I don't know this for sure, but I would guess the same thing that kind of inspired guys like me, which was, at that time, if you saw someone doing like console reviews, it was always the same stuff. It was like, hey guys, this is the original PlayStation, and it had Crash Bandicoot. You're like, shut up! Like, I know, like, talk about something interesting. And then GAMESTER81 came to the table with like, hey guys, this is like an obscure Korean clone console you've never heard of. I'm like, Jesus, okay. Like, he was on a different level with the obscure stuff. And it's funny you mentioned the Divers 2000, because I actually contacted John back in like 2010, and I was just like, hey, I know you don't know me or anything, and I was just starting out making videos, and at that point I had made a bunch of Dreamcast stuff, and I sent him the link to the Divers 2000, because at least the first video I did on it, because I was just like, hey man, believe it or not, I own a console you don't have. And he never responded, but he just immediately subscribed to me. And so, but here's the thing, like, I've met John a couple of times at different things. I've interacted with him briefly here and there, but it's funny, like, we're both like these geriatric dinosaurs of YouTube. Yet we don't really know each other all that well. It's just like these minor interactions. But you know, I know he's going through some stuff right now, and I wish him all the best. And I'm glad he's hanging in there and making videos, because I actually I just watched one of his very recently. I think I watched one on like the Hyperscan or something, which is probably why it was on my mind earlier. Just to remember how stupid that thing was. But like, I mean, John. It's funny, like, I used to watch a lot of his stuff kind of religiously, because I think one of the comments he would get, and I know I got this too, is like, hey, how come you're not, are you going to try to get every console ever? Because that's usually a question you get from, I'm just going to be honest about it, it's a question you get from a lot of like high school students and maybe earlier, because the response is always like, if you know a lot about video games, you know that that's impossible. Like, there's there's consoles you've never heard of in countries you don't even know exist. I'm just gonna say it. Like there's like random little clone boxes that do this or that only came out in like, you know, Turkmenistan, and you're like, okay, how am I gonna get that thing?
Mhm.
You know, like I went to Havana last year and they were telling me like, oh, we had Russian Super Nintendo clones. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So like the idea that one guy could amass all of this, fortunately, John came to the same conclusion years ago that just wasn't going to happen.
But
Yeah.
if you want to find an obscure console, chances are either your channel or his channel will probably have covered it.
Yeah, we're gonna be some of your best bets to find information on like really bizarre stuff. But like I gotta give him props. Like he definitely has more obscure stuff than I do. But I also kind of draw a line that I don't think he does, which is he will take a clone console, he'll make fun of it, he'll make a video on it though, and he'll be like, yeah, this was this weird version of the, you know, the NES called the Terminator 2. Based on the movie Terminator 2, which has nothing to do with it, but that's just the way they presented it. Like, I would never do that. Because not just because I'm like, well, it's just an NES clone. What the hell? But I give him props because if anybody out there's like, I need to find out more information on the Terminator 2, he's got you covered.
And if you want to find out more about the Dreamcast, you go to Adam's channel.
That's right. That's one of the few oddities that I'm not going to say the only possessor of on YouTube, but definitely one of the few.
I almost bought one immediately after you made that video. I found one on eBay and almost paid $100 and got one.
$100 for one of those is really cheap.
Yeah, it was like from Brazil and it was literally ready to go. And I was like, whoa. But I was like, I did, my eBay account was too new and it wouldn't let me buy international things at the time. And that was when eBay was a little more policing on their policy. But yeah, you guys have both, you and John have both inspired me to try and buy random things that I definitely don't need.
Yeah, I get that a lot where it's like, hey, Adam, like, I love your videos. You made me buy this crappy thing. And I'm like, sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
This is why he's getting the Atari VCS. Now,
Nope.
no.
yeah,
Nope.
I would never. See, that's something John might cover. I would not. Because he's like, I got to have them all. I'm like, no, I draw a line. And that's, you know. But like, and again, I'm the dude who did videos on the Bandai Platia and the Casio Loopy, and that's another one. Like people said, like, oh, dude, I bought a bunch of Casio Loopies because of you. I'm like, no, the point was not to do that. Like, it was a warning.
Don't
was
buy
like
the sticker machine.
Yeah, it was like the 1984 of like game consoles. Like, just do it's a warning. Don't do it.
All right, so now we'll roll into the normal GAMESTER81 coverage. So he currently has 105,000 subscribers. His channel was created on July 15th, 2008. And just out of my own curiosity, when was yours created?
It was probably created many years before I actually started using it.
2009. Okay.
Okay, no, that would be accurate then. I started producing content, like towards the tail slate of 2009.
Yeah, you guys have pretty similar stats, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see here. He currently has 21,152,885 views.
I wonder what the overlap in viewership is. I wonder if it's all the same people.
It might,
It's mostly, yeah.
it might be, yeah. And if you want to get to his channel, go to youtube.com/GAMESTER81. And he actually has a pretty simple description here. Welcome to my channel, GAMESTER81, where I review retro and obscure consoles, video games, homebrew games, and more. And if you're interested in sending him stuff, you can send it to his P.O. box here. Please don't send him any junk, but if it is junk that plays games, he'll probably take it. All right, let's see here. So GAMESTER81 is known for being one of the OG YouTube gaming hardware guys. Maybe the OG. I really don't know if there was more people before.
He
Okay.
is.
Yep.
He
And then,
is definitely at the beginning. If they're the only guys who would have come before him, like I said, are dudes covering like PS1. You know what I mean? Like this was the first dude to be like, let me show you some stuff you have never heard of.
Yeah, and I like that kind of content. I'm subscribed to both of you guys for that exact reason. So he's still producing content over 12 years later on the platform. He has one of the largest gaming hardware collections on YouTube. I'd be curious to see who has the biggest. I really don't know.
He definitely has me beat, dude. Because like I said, he's got clone consoles that I would never acquire. That's not a knock against him. I'm just saying, like, I can't compete with that. Like, he's got a house dedicated to this. Like, I have closets. You know what I mean?
And the last thing I want to say is he's a pretty genuine and positive guy, easily relatable to during his videos. Like, he never, I would say, like, the inflection in his voice never gets like to the point where it's like, this guy's fake. No, he's like very passionate about what he talks about, and there's not, I can't take anything away from
I think
him.
you have to be if you're doing it for this long.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think his first video was?
I imagine it was some bizarre. I don't know.
64 disc drive.
The DD6, the 64 DD.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the TriStar 64 apparently.
I have both of those. I've done a video on the 64 DD, never on the TriStar though.
I don't actually remember seeing the okay, all right.
The TriStar is this weird add-on for the top of the 64 that allows it to play like SNES and NES games. It's basically just an emulator. Yeah, it's just an emulator clone console that essentially just uses the N64 for controller ports because it requires its own power supply. It is just an NOAC, except it uses the N64 for the controller. In fact, I think it has its own video out from what I remember. Like it really doesn't do it, yeah, essentially it's just using the controller ports of the N64.
Yeah, there's something like that for the SNES for NES carts, and I saw it on Amazon. I was like, but it was like $10. I know the quality's not there.
Yeah, the thing is junk. Like I always had problems getting it to work because again, it's just a crappy NOAC. It's more like an idea that would have probably been very exciting in like 1997. But I don't know when it came out. I think it came out a lot later than that, and it was really only sold in like Hong Kong.
Gotcha. Okay. So what do you think his most popular video is? Oh, too late. It's a PS1 video.
Oh, the Erosi thing?
Yeah, the Net Erosi. I'm actually very interested in this because there's a whole story on how it actually promoted indie devs to create PlayStation games. So that was pretty cool.
You know what's funny is there was a guy in my Discord who has one who was actually trying to sell his.
Oh, okay. You can, I think you can do region free with it actually, which is one of the main reasons people want this. Not that you can't do region free with a packed PS3 at this point.
Sure.
But if you want the original hardware and you want to be able to play it, this is a way to do it.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is his most popular video. These are actually really hard to come by, and when you find one, they're very expensive. The Net Erosi. It's because
everybody knows what they are now. Everybody who would care knows what they are.
That's true.
Supply and demand, man.
Let's see, just for fun. Yeah, see, these are expensive. So he's probably sitting on a gold mine of consoles at this point, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, so let's go on to what do we like about Gamester81's channel? I'll let Adam go first.
So obviously I like the fact that he covers a lot of obscure stuff, but I also like John. I mean, again, my interactions with him have been limited, but I like him as an individual because, as you speculated on, he is very genuine. He's just a guy who likes talking about this stuff and will just wants to provide cool insights into things that most people never get access to, just because they might be curious. I also like his contributions to greater retro gaming. Like he's helped, be responsible for the convention in Phoenix, Game On. That was largely launched by him. And then he tries to make like indie games. Like I think he did Sydney the Cave Hunter, if you remember that game. That was a big one by him. And I want to take a second here to defend him too, because remember when the Coleco Chameleon collapsed?
Yeah.
He was like the only guy on board who was like publicly saying like, I have an intention of making a game for this stuff, because at the time it was seen as a legitimate product. But since the Coleco Chameleon didn't have a face, he was the only public face associated with it. The entirety of the internet just came at him like it was his fault, which is like ridiculous. Again, that would be like we're sitting here talking about this PSP Go thing. It never ends up happening, and then all the internet blames us. Like we had nothing to do with it. We were just talking about it, and he was a guy talking about it because he was like, I want to make games for this, so that's down in the pipeline. So John, I know he even took a break from YouTube because he was just so like blown away about how awful people were being to him when he's been like one of the nicest guys on YouTube for a decade. So yeah, that's who he is.
He truly is one of the like from I've never seen him like make a video like, this is my response to this jerk. No, like he's just not that guy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he has like a malicious bone in his body.
Yep.
So what I like about his channel is, like I've said earlier, the same kind of reason I subscribed to Adam in the first place is like he covers the things that I'm interested in, which is like the obscure parts of history of gaming.
Yeah.
Things that I would not know from even Googling most of the time.
It's fascinating how many things I learned. It's like, how did I not know this existed? And like he has all his knowledge on it. It's really cool.
And clearly he has more insider knowledge on some of these things than most people do because he's done the research himself. and then I don't have to bother with it. I just look up one of his videos, I look up one of Adam's videos, boom, I've got the information right in front of me. It's presented to me in a logical and very casual manner that I like about YouTube, and I don't feel like it's somebody trying to promote something at me, you know, so it's nice. And he speaks very calmly. It's very easy listening, so that's nice too. So what are some things we think that Mr. Gamester81, Mr. John, can do to improve his channel?
Well, more PlayStation 1 videos, clearly.
Yeah, that's the ultimate. You have to have more PS1 reviews.
Yeah.
We need to know if the console still came out in '94 in Japan while coming out in '95 here.
Mhm.
I need to once again hear that Sony did the mic drop $299. I also need to know that Spyro was a game. Did you guys know that? I need to
I had
know that
no
again.
idea.
Yeah. So well, there you go. Now you know it again. I need no. I actually have no real like suggestions for John. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Under normal circumstances, I would say that it would be nice if his content was more frequent. I know he takes like very long breaks, but currently he's having like medical issues, and he is completely absolved of any such responsibility from any of us. So just get well, John. That's all I would say right now. Just get well.
I would agree with that sentiment, and that's kind of where I was going to go with that. I don't have a lot of improvements to his channel.
Yeah, me either.
He's kind of hit one of the biggest niches on YouTube, which is, you know, retro gaming, like serious retro gaming, and he's very professional about it. So like, I mean, I can't really fault him for anything.
Yeah,
that he
I
does.
was excited about covering him because he's actually pretty new to me. So Chris, asked me if I'd seen his videos before, and I was like, no, who is this? But I was happy about covering him because I want more people to know about him. And also having Adam on here several times. I think that this is a genre of gaming knowledge that needs to be, experienced by a lot more people, especially the newer generations coming up that don't know anything about gaming history and don't know where a lot of these games and ideas and franchises came from. So I don't know. I just more frequent content, but like Adam said, he's absolved of any of that responsibility at the moment. So.
You know what? I will make one suggestion to him because I know he's going to beat whatever he's dealing with right now. He's going to get through it. And so when he does, John, even though we've only spoken for like once or twice, but here's my suggestion to you. And I'm responsible for this too. You and I are both sitting on like an archive of really obscure, bizarre consoles that need like proper 4K coverage. Like a lot of your videos are sitting there like they're a decade old and they were shot poorly, and I'm guilty of it too. I did it too. I'm not making fun of myself in this process. We need to go back and be like, here is 4K footage of like the Terminator 2 clone console. You know what I mean? Like just because that's eventually going to be one of the only ways it's ever archived.
Yeah.
So that would be my challenge to you whenever you deem yourself ready to take it on.
That's a good challenge, and maybe a collaboration with Adam to cover some things would be cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not the PS1. We got it.
Unless Adams finds himself with a Net Eurose and he has his own plans.
That would be a little different.
Yeah. So I agree. And so the next thing is, what are our predictions for his channel going forward?
To be honest, at the moment, I think he's just going to kind of just float there until he makes some sort of decision. It's possible that he will come back with a vengeance, or it's possible he's going to just kind of retire, because again, he is dealing with medical situations, and this may be, possibly he just doesn't want to do this anymore. That's very possible. But if he is, comes out of this healthy and strong, I predict that he will just come back with a vengeance and just say like, I'm just gonna crush it and make amazing content. The problem is, the truth is, man, that's such a huge X factor to the situation that we can't really give an educated opinion on that.
I think it's his channel. I think he's hit 100,000, so he's already made it essentially on YouTube. So if he just puts out content he cares about, as he's going and as his health allows, then I think he'll just continue to go up slowly over time, just like all the other channels that have hit the success on YouTube of 100,000 plus subscribers, just like Adam. And if he cares about it and he keeps it going, I think it'll keep going up.
I can tell you, as someone who's obviously very similar in that regard, once you hit 100,000, it's, at least if you're responsible for niche retro, which is to keep it real, both what John and I do, is like, there is like a Nuon video does not exactly have mass Twitter trending appeal. You know what I'm saying? So like there is a cap. there comes a point where you're rather than getting like 1,000 subs a day, you're getting like, oh cool, I got 20. You know what I mean? Like it just starts, it slows down substantially, and there is an out to that. And a lot of, you'll notice like guys like Sean and Max, Dreamcast guy, they start to take it. They get to a point where they're like, there's only so much retro stuff you can do, so I want to focus more on what's modern, because modern goes with trends. But John and I were both kind of the guys who were like, nah, I just don't want to do that. I am more in my comfort zone talking about the Casio Loopy and why it exists at all than I am talking about like, well, here's what's wrong with Cyberpunk today. You know what I mean? Like we're just it's a different thing. And I give mad props to John, because I know personally how difficult that is, because it's incredibly tempting when I know on a regular basis, like every once in a while I do a video on something relevant, like, oh, okay, the Xbox Series X came out, let's talk about it. And by far the most successful videos I do all year. But I'm more interested in what's going on with the Playdia today. I want to know. You know what I mean? So I get his angle, and I respect him for not jumping with trends all the time.
All right, so Adam, I'm gonna beg you for a video right now. 2 years from now, you need to do Wii U 10 years later.
Yes,
I probably will.
You definitely.
I think that was kind of already in the cards. Like at some point, I'll be doing the 8th gen retrospective. The problem is the Switch is still active, and that kind of screws it up. And then inevitably you get people being like, but Switch is 9th gen. It's like, no, it's not if you know math or history. But,
I mean, yeah, from a technical standpoint, yeah, I agree with you.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm just going to jump into this for a second. Generations are defined by like 3 different things. One is technology, one is the time frame in which they're released, and one is their competition intentions. So the Switch came out anemic to even the base Xbox One. So immediately it fails on the technical aspects alone. Second, it came out almost 4 years before the Xbox Series X and PS5, if you can believe that. It's almost been 4 years. Traditionally, that's an entire generation cycle. Okay, so it fails on that. And then when it comes to market intentions, it was, let's keep it real, it was meant to own the handheld space. It wasn't meant to really compete in the console space anyway. It is not. I am sorry. It is not a 9th gen console. And the people hate hearing that, because they want to think like, well, Nintendo couldn't have 2. Yeah, they could, because SNK did it, Sega did it, Atari did it. It's just a thing that's happened.
It's essentially just a revision to the Wii U. So it's the Wii U 2.
Yeah, it's basically a portable Wii U Pro. That's what it is.
I agree.
It's got all the same
wholeheartedly.
games, so
It's just not PowerPC architecture, so it's based on the NVIDIA Tegra processor, so it's a little different in that aspect, but it's not a next gen console. Yeah, and I think Mr. Gamester81 would agree with you. So before we get too off into the Switch tangent, I think we should probably end this video. So I'm gonna say this ahead of time, John. I hope you get better quickly, and have a speedy recovery and whatever's going on with you. And on top of that, we wish you the best and hope your subscriber count just keeps doing this. And
he pointed up for those just listening.
Yeah, that's true.
I just didn't want to give the impression that you said something weird.
Yeah, for the audio listeners that are increasing every week, apparently. Yeah, I pointed up. I hope that Mr. Gamester81, Mr. John over here, his channel just continues to soar. So, as always, I'm Chris.
I'm Will.
I'm Koralik.
I was not expecting you to say that.
I gotta come up with something each time. I'm running out of ammo, man.
It's the CHRILLCAST. Okay. And we will see you
A nice CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.